If we'd been just slightly unlucky earlier, we would have definitely ended up like them. Many martial emperor's disciples and followers stared at the bodies on the ground. All they could feel was a chill running down their spines as their skins crawled with goosebumps. At that second, they considered themselves lucky that their lives were spared. What? Have you given up on resisting now? Just like the martial emperor's disciples and followers, Zhou Yi, who had witnessed Duan Ling Tian retracting his quasi-royal grade spirit sword, also thought that Duan Ling Tian had already forsaken his resistance. For a moment, disdain crept upon the corner of his mouth, and the gaze upon which he looked at Duan Ling Tian was full of contempt. I wondered why Tian Wu would fall for such a piece of trash like you. However, from today onwards, Tian Wu will definitely fall out of love with you. No woman would love a man whose dantian and 4 limbs are crippled. Zhou Yi slurred unhurriedly, and when he finished, the mock on his face became even more apparent. You. Then, even though Zhou Yi decided to add more, he automatically shut his mouth and cut himself off. He stopped because he noticed that after Duan Ling Tian retracted the spirit sword, he took a stone tablet that lacked a corner out. This stone tablet appeared to be ordinary, and it was carved with words that he did not recognize. Even though he did not recognize the words on it, the aura of vicissitude of life that faintly gushed out of it made him realize that this stone tablet was not that simple after all. What's that? It looks like a stone tablet. At that point, the group of martial emperor's disciples and followers who stood at a distance, rejoicing in their luck of surviving, had also shifted their glance towards the stone tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand. He retracted the sword but took this stone tablet out instead. Don't tell me that this is his weapon too. It must be. Otherwise, why would he do so? Perhaps he's preparing his own tombstone. You have a point. Tombstone? What a joke. Have you seen a tombstone that's fully carved with such dense words that none of us recognize at all? Many martial emperor's disciples and followers whispered to each other. All of them were curious about the tablet stone that lacked a corner in Duan Ling Tian's hand. After Duan Ling Tian had retracted the quasi-royal grade spirit sword, he had taken out this tablet, which was none other than the Devil Seal tablet that he always brought along with him. The Devil Seal tablet was also his biggest hope for today. Tian Wu doesn't fear death at all for my sake. So today, for Tian Wu's sake, I'll have no regrets even if I lose my sanity after using this Devil Seal tablet. He gripped onto the Devil Seal tablet tightly as he stared at Zhou Yi, who was far away. After I've activated the Devil Seal tablet, I must kill Zhou Yi in the shortest time possible and take Tian Wu away with me. Otherwise, by the time I've completely lost my consciousness, I won't be able to rescue Tian Wu and leave anymore. He thought to himself, and his plan started to take form in his mind. For a moment, the sharp ray in his eyes penetrated Zhou Yi and shone even more brightly as killing intent flashed across them. Duan Ling Tian, is this the tombstone that you've prepared for yourself since you already know that you're going to die this time? Zhou Yi ignored Duan Ling Tian's eyes that were gleaming with murderous intent and asked with a smirk mockingly. However, Duan Ling Tian did not reply to him. Right then, Duan Ling Tian was doing his best to agitate his own emotions and was trying to breed feelings of hopelessness and despair within himself deliberately. All this was so that the Devil Seal tablet in his hand would help to devilify him. Directly, the Devil Seal tablet could only provide a boost of 100%, which was the equivalent of the quasi-royal grade spirit sword. It would be meaningless to him. On top of that, given the critical situation that he was in now, even a real royal grade spirit sword would be of much help to him. He would not be able to beat Zhou Yi even with the royal grade spirit sword. Swoosh. The heaven and earth energy had already gathered to become heaven and earth energy above Zhou Yi's head. There were a total of 7 ancient black dragon silhouettes and 1,000 ancient horned dragon silhouettes that were spiraling as they descended. They seemed vivid and lively as though they covered half of the sky, giving a sense of invisible pressure. From this example, one could see that at his maximum strength, Zhou Yi could exert the strength of 7 ancient black dragons and 1,000 ancient horned dragons. As for Duan Ling Tian, even after he had fully unleashed his power, his strength was only equivalent to 6 ancient black dragons and 2,000 ancient horned dragons. Even a royal grade sword spirit weapon that could give a boost of 120% would only give Duan Ling Tian an additional strength of 1,200 ancient horned dragons. Currently, Duan Ling Tian was at the 4th level martial monarch stage, and when he unleashed his entire origin energy, It was equivalent to the strength of 6,000 ancient horned dragons. The quasi-royal Great Spirit Sword could give him an additional 100% boost of strength, thus making it the equivalent to the strength of 6,000 ancient horned dragons. The Royal Great Spirit Weapon, on the other hand, could provide an additional 120% boost of strength, adding up to the strength of 7,200 ancient horned dragons. However, even with the additional strength of 1,200 ancient horned dragons, Duan Ling Tian's full strength would only be 6 ancient black dragons and 3,200 ancient horned dragons. Even so, he was still far from Zhou. For this reason, he could only rely on the Devil Seal Tablet to defeat and kill him by some unknown force. The Devil Seal Tablet had already left Duan Ling Tian's hand and was hovering right in front of him. At the same time, gusts of black mist were engulfing it. One could vaguely see a dark black liquid that was gushing out continuously on the surface of the Devil Seal Tablet. Not long after that, the words on top of it were covered by the black liquid. Though this black liquid was on the Devil Seal Tablet, the aura that it emitted out still gave chills to everyone present on the scene, including Zhou. What's that? My goodness, what stone tablet is that? How can black liquid flow out of it and emit black mist? I isn't this peculiar. I've got a feeling that the black liquid flowing on the stone tablet seems to be kinda horrifying. I feel the same way too. When the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers saw this, they once again put some distance in between them and the confrontation in fear that they would be affected again. They faintly realized that the reason the purple-clad young man had retracted his spirit sword and took out this stone tablet was not to abide for his death, but instead, he wanted to use the stone tablet against Zhou. It was apparent that this stone table was not as simple as it looked. The aura that flowed out of it was spreading even wider, and when it swept out all over the place, it crushed some of those Martial Emperor's followers whose cultivation base was much lower to the point that they could hardly breathe. Devil Seal Tablet. As a glimmer shone in his eyes, Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath before lifting a hand and pressing on the Devil Seal Tablet that was hovering in front of him. At that instant, the black liquid and black mist on top of the Devil Seal Tablet seemed to have found a release point. Vigorously, they surged into Duan Ling Tian's hand that was plastered across the Devil Seal Tablet. It was evident that Duan Ling Tian was going to use this Devil Seal table to devilify. Shit. Long before the Devil Seal Tablet started to show sign of changing, Zhou started to have an ominous premonition about it. Seeing Duan Ling Tian place his hand on the Devil Seal Tablet, and how the energy of the Devil Seal Tablet that elicited fear from the bottom of his hand surged into his foe's hand, horror dawned on his face right away. Whoosh! Just when the black liquid and black mist just started to surge into Duan Ling Tian's hand and had just gone past his forearm, Zhou vanished from the spot, and when he reappeared once again, he was already in front of Duan Ling Tian. Swish! Without any hesitation, Zhou lifted his hand. The ray from the Grade 1 Spirit Saber in his hand burst out with vast, rolling energy that caused a detonation to explode in the air nonstop. At the same time, airwaves swept out and transformed into a series of brutal hurricanes that sent the surrounding gigantic stones tumbling and flying. Not long after, the gigantic stones in the proximity were cleared, and all that was left was a clear, empty field. This all happened in just the blink of an eye, when Zhou emerged in front of Duan Ling Tian, and the ray soared out from the spirit saber in his hand. When the Devil Seal Tablet's black liquid and black mist approached Duan Ling Tian's shoulder, Zhou seemed to have fused with the saber in his hand and transformed it into a gigantic saber that hacked down towards Duan Ling Tian. More precisely, it swung towards the Devil Seal Tablet that was covered in the black liquid and black mist in front of him. Swish! A slicing sound that disappeared as soon as it appeared entered everyone's ears like thunder piercing the air. Everybody's hearts trembled violently. Clang! A thunderous loud bang entered their ears suddenly, and their eardrums vibrated hard. Blood even spurted out the ears of some of the Martial Emperor's followers whose cultivation base was much lower due to the unforgiving vibrations. Bam! After the gigantic saber that was transformed by Zhou hacked down towards the Devil Seal Tablet in front of Duan Ling Tian and released a loud bang. A gust of blood-curdling energy spread out from the impact point. The gust of blood-curdling energy was an impact wave that formed as a result of the explosion of the airwaves caused by the extreme compression of the airflows. The impact wave swept out in all directions. Other than the center of the impact wave where the two of them were, all the gigantic stones within a 100-meter radius from them were crushed entirely to powder. Furthermore, the ground within the 100-meter radius had also trembled until lines of ferocious cracks spread out, crisscrossing with each other as though it had become a gigantic spider net. Horror dawned on the Martial Emperor's disciples who were close to the 100-meter radius. As for those Martial Emperor's followers, some were sent flying all the way to several dozen meters before they finally came to a halt. At that moment, they no longer dared to stand together with the group of Martial Emperor's disciples. Instead, they stood afar, watching the gigantic saber and the purple figure as well as the stone tablet that lacked a corner hovering in between them. The next instance, the gigantic saber transformed once again become a human and a saber. It was Zhou-Yi re-emerging in front of everyone once more. He was staring at the stone tablet that lacked a corner with black liquid and black mist flowing from it in bafflement. He was unable to return to his senses for a very long time. His full attack did not even leave a single trace on this stone tablet at all. In addition to that, the stone tablet was still hovering in the air. Earlier, his strike that contained the strength of more than 7 ancient black dragons could not even make the stone tablet move or waver the slightest. How is this possible? The Martial Emperor's disciples and followers also noticed this. Their eyes narrowed one by one as disbelief crept upon their faces. However, their attention was soon turned towards the purple-clad young man hovering behind the stone tablet. Dear Lord, what did they just witness? The eyes of the purple-clad young man hovering in the air behind that peculiar stone tablet suddenly turned crimson red, and he was emitting streams of blood-curdling aura. Snap! In the next instance, a snap reverberated in the air. The hairband tying up the purple-clad young man's long hair had broken all of a sudden. His long hair now flew in the wind like wriggling black snakes. Very soon, these black snakes started to change. To be more precise, the color of his hair began to change. The purple-clad young man's long hair that seemed like wriggling black snakes started to change to become purple gradually. It was a freaky-looking purple, and his hair seemed to have transformed into purple snakes. The snakes were wriggling at a speed that was becoming faster and faster. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Nobody noticed it, but the purple-clad young man was soon entirely buried in a black mist. There were even some black lightning-like things that surfaced all over the black mist. Boom! A loud bang resonated in the air. It was a gale of widespread, rolling impact waves that swept out all over the place from the stone tablet that lacked a corner as the purple-clad young man held it. This impact wave went even further than the impact wave that had formed from the hacking of the gigantic saber that was formed by Zhou-Yi and his saber. Boom, 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 boom. Ear-piercing explosions continued to erupt in succession where the impact wave swept through. Some of the large stones outside of the 100-meter radius had either transformed to become dust, shattered into rubble, or were even sent flying away. Barf! Look, some of the Martial Emperor's disciples who had been standing outside of the 100-meter radius did not even have time to dodge. In just the twinkling of an eye, they were enveloped by the impact wave and were sent shooting away with fresh blood gushing out of their mouths ceaselessly. Not only these Martial Emperor's disciples, but even Zhou-Yi was also now forced to retreat by more than 10 steps because of the impact waves before he finally came to a stable halt again. With an unhappy snort, his terribly pallid face was very unsightly. Looking at the purple-colored figure who was holding the stone table like a demon god appearing on this earth, fear rose up in Zhou-Yi's heart without any reason. The fear continued to spread, and soon, hint of terror could be seen in his eyes as well. Boom, 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 boom. When the impact wave swept out, many people in the depths of the Lost Stone Forest were also taken by surprise as well. What a horrifying power! This energy seems to be coming from the southeastern of our Lost Stone Forest. Let's have a look at what's actually going on. Such a terrible power must have already crossed the martial monarch's boundary. At once, other than the crowd that was taken by surprise, there were 2 other Martial Emperor's direct disciples who had also been taken by shock. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 graceful figures soon assembled together. One of them was dressed in blue with his long hair draped over his shoulders. It was a handsome, young man who appeared to be young in just his 30s. The other man was also young, but he was clad in green. With a reserved face, his eyes were emotionless as though somebody owed him a great deal of money. I can't believe that you've been alerted as well. Let's go and take a look at what's actually happening. The young man in blue smiled as he said towards the other man. The green-clad young man nodded nonchalantly before he disappeared together with the man in blue from the spot, as though they had never appeared there before. Deep within the lost stone forest, inside a stone house that was hollowed from a massive stone, a woman in red sat cross-legged on the stone bed. Suddenly, her eyes flew open. Her beauty that could topple huge nations seemed to make everything in her surroundings dull by comparison. What a familiar aura. The first thing that came to her mind was how familiar the energy that swept from afar was. This tyrannical aura gave her a sense of warmth. Even she could not explain why. Curious, she left the stone house and rushed towards where the aura came from, the southeast of the lost stone forest. At the southeast of the lost stone forest, as the impact wave surged out of Duan Ling Tian, whose hair had become purple and whose eyes were a shade of crimson red, and ran amok throughout half of the entire lost stone forest, more people gathered. These people were mostly disciples and followers of the Martial Emperor. Of course, two of them were the Martial Emperor's direct disciples as well, Senior Brother Zhao, Senior Brother Sunday. As the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples made their entrance, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers greeted them respectfully. The blue-clad Martial Emperor's direct disciple smiled and nodded in response. As for the green-clad Martial Emperor's direct disciple, his face remained cold and aloof since the very beginning, not giving a damn about the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers at all. Yet, the crowd did not mind it at all. They had long heard about Senior Brother Sun's temper before, let alone them. Even if he came to meet the other Martial Emperor's direct disciples, he would have the same expression on his face as well. Zhou. Soon, the Martial Emperor's direct disciple with the surname Zhao exclaimed in surprise. The group of people who had just arrived also noticed Zhou, the young man in black who was standing from afar. It's Senior Brother Zhou. Right at that moment, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers exclaimed in surprise. Zhou was the strongest Martial Emperor's direct disciple in their lost stone forest, and he was no stranger to them. Just then, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers also noticed the group of people approaching. Respectfully, they greeted the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples leading the group, Senior Brother Zhao, Senior Brother Sunday. What's actually going on? Who's that young man with the purple hair and crimson eyes dressed in purple? The gaze of the Martial Emperor's direct disciple whose surname was Zhao soon landed on the purple-clad young man not far in front of Zhou. The aura that he emitted suppressed him to the point that he could barely breathe. He also noticed that the energy that had taken him by surprise just now seemed to have come from this purple-clad young man. Just as one of the Martial Emperor's disciple was trying to say something, a rolling blast interrupted him. In the distance, Duan Ling Tian, whose hair had turned purple and whose eyes were now crimson red, raised his hand and set off a series of detonations ceaselessly. The blast swept out and created circles of ripples that could be clearly seen in the air. These circles of ripples were the traces left behind by the air flows in the air when his energy quivered the air. In the depth of Duan Ling Tian's mind, a glum voice suddenly resonated. I must finish this in the shortest time possible. After he had successfully been devilified by activating the Devil Seal tablet once again, Duan Ling Tian's body was no longer under his control again. However, his consciousness was still hanging on right then, and he could still take charge of his own body in some manner. Under the watchful eyes of the others, he suddenly lifted his head. His gaze instantly locked onto Zhou nearby as a murderous gleam flooded his crimson eyes. Horror dawned on Zhou. Seeing Duan Ling Tian's face, he did not have any confidence at all. Big Brother Duan. Right at this moment, a voice that was filled with joy reverberated in the air, distracting Duan Ling Tian, who was just about to make his move on Zhou. Tian Wu. Turning his head, Duan Ling Tian immediately saw the woman in red standing in the distance and looking like a fire elf. That was none other than Feng Tian Wu, who had just arrived at the scene. At that moment when he saw Tian Wu, Duan Ling Tian promptly made up his mind. It's even better now that Tian Wu is here. Before I lose my consciousness completely, I must kill Zhou and bring Tian Wu away with me. At the same time, his consciousness that was slowly dissipating was doing its utmost effort to control the body that had been devilified as he cast a mighty strength. It was a strength that did not belong to the Cloud Continent. Boom! A gale with a horrifying impact wave once again swept out and sent chills down the spines of everybody present. a martial emperor? At once, the martial emperor's direct disciple, whose surname was Zhao, turned solemn right away. Soon, his eyes narrowed because he realized that the purple-clad young man, whose hair was purple and whose eyes were crimson red, had transformed to become a purple residual figure in front of him before charging towards Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi will most likely be killed. This was the first thought that came to his mind. Even though Zhou Yi was a martial emperor's direct disciple whose strength was better than his, he felt that Zhou Yi would not be able to survive in the face of this person who possessed the strength equivalent to a martial emperor's. Bang! Just as most of the people realized that Duan Ling Tian had vanished from their eyes, a loud ear-piercing roar reverberated and pierced their eardrums till they ached. All of the martial emperor's followers were spouting out blood from their ears, and their faces were horribly pale. Even the group of martial emperor's disciples now had very ashen faces. Bang! As the loud sound reverberated again, before they could realize what was happening, a strong wind with a huge impact wave had already swept out with the loud explosion as the center. The entire earth quaked, and the web-like fissures that originally covered the ground spread out even more ceaselessly before it formed a series of ferocious trenches. Where the impact wave had passed, the group of martial emperor's disciples was also forced to retreat by over 10 steps. Some of the martial emperor's followers were even sent flying by the quake. The unfortunate victims included Feng Tianwu as well. Feng Tianwu's strength was even much more inferior to these martial emperor's disciples. She stood much farther away, so she only suffered from minor injuries. Master, before most of the people, including Feng Tianwu, could realize what was happening, 3 streaks of voices resonated in the air at almost the same time. Zhou Yi, who was sent flying and whose face was awfully pale, and the 2 other martial emperor's direct disciples bowed down respectfully towards a tall figure blocking the purple-clad young man. This looming figure was fully clad in gray with his hair flying everywhere in a tousle. Standing as firm as a rock, he emitted a powerful force. He was a lofty and tall middle-aged man. His brows were majestic but not angry-looking. Despite his ordinary looks, he exuded a distinguished demeanor. The attack that Duan Ling Tian cast after he was being devilified was directly blocked by him. As the impact wave swept out, the scene temporarily regained its tranquility for now. However, everyone knew that this was just the calm before an even more powerful storm. Martial Emperor Shi. It had never crossed Duan Ling Tian's mind that somebody would actually appear and block the attack he unleashed towards Zhou Yi, as he was prepared to kill Zhou Yi and bring Tianwu away before he lost his sanity. At that instance, Duan Ling Tian could guess the identity of the newcomer. It was the owner of the Lost Stone Forest, Martial Emperor Shi. In the entire Lost Stone Forest, only Martial Emperor Shi was able to block his attack after he was devilified. Even if the attack he cast earlier was not his full strength, it was not something a martial monarch could withstand, not even a powerhouse who had entered the peak of martial monarch stage. Young man, your strength is powerful. Martial Emperor Shi, whose body was tall and lofty, looked at Duan Ling Tian solemnly. As fellow martial emperors on Cloud Continent, I've never heard of you before. Who are you actually, Martial Emperor? The moment these words left Martial Emperor Shi's mouth, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who had just arrived, including the 2 Martial Emperor's direct disciples with the surname Zhao and Sun, understood immediately. So he's really a Martial Emperor. Only those group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who were present on the scene since the very beginning, including Zhou Yi, knew that this purple-clad young man was not a martial emperor, or at the very least, he was not a martial emperor just a moment before. His strength was elevated to such a powerful level because of the stone tablet that lacked a corner in his hand. All the strength that he possessed right now came from that mysterious stone tablet. If I can get my hands on the stone tablet, does it mean that I'll also possess the power he currently possesses? The dread on Zhou Yi's face disappeared as his gaze shifted toward the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand. It was replaced with a look of greediness as he itched to take the Devil Seal tablet for himself. Perhaps, after I get my hands on this stone tablet, the elevation the stone tablet gives me would be much greater than his. After all, if it wasn't for this stone tablet, his strength wouldn't be powerful than mine. The moment Zhou Yi thought of this, his heart burned with an even stronger fire. Go away. When Duan Ling Tian noticed his consciousness was dissipating at an alarming speed, or to be more precise, when he noticed his consciousness was being suppressed by the energy from the Devil Seal tablet. Duan Ling Tian bellowed and made his move again. Whoosh! This time, he took hold of the Devil Seal tablet and threw it toward Martial Emperor Shiqi. To him, Martial Emperor Shiqi was undoubtedly a huge obstacle blocking him from killing Zhou Yi. If he wanted to kill Zhou Yi, he must get rid of this obstacle first. Boom! A loud sound resonated. It was the sound of Martial Emperor Shiqi receiving another blow from Duan Ling Tian. In the next instant, a rolling wave swept out. This time, the crowd were already prepared for it and was not too injured. However, the scene before them still shocked them. Although Martial Emperor Shiqi managed to endure, he was sent flying like an arrow that was shot out a bow when the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand was thrown out. Moreover, he even coughed out a mouthful of blood. After Martial Emperor Shiqi was sent flying for more than 10 meters, he finally came to a halt. His face turned green before it paled. It was obvious that he was injured. Silence. The scene fell silent. A master is hurt. Zhou Yi's eyes narrowed when he saw this scene. Horror dawned on his face. No matter what, it had never crossed his mind that his master, who was like an invincible battle god, would be injured. On top of that, he was actually injured by the leader of the low-level first-rate force that he had looked down on. Although Master has not used his spirit weapon yet. But isn't this stone tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand too spectacular? Zhou Yi only felt chills running down his spine when he looked at the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand again. At the same time, the greediness in his eyes became even more distinct. He found the stone tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand to be even more unusual. Master. Horror also dawned on the other two Martial Emperor's direct disciples after they saw that Martial Emperor Shiqi was injured. Lord Martial Emperor. The other Martial Emperor's disciples and followers were also baffled when they saw the scene that had unfolded before their eyes. Martial Emperor Shiqi, who was almost invincible in their eyes, was actually injured. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian was at the center of attention. Who is he? Why is he so strong? It looks like even Lord Martial Emperor doesn't know who this Martial Emperor is as well. Don't tell me he's actually a reclusive Martial Emperor? The group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who had just arrived not too long ago began to speculate. They were very curious about Duan Ling Tian's identity. In the end, they all came to the conclusion that Duan Ling Tian had to be a reclusive Martial Emperor. There were not more than 10 Martial Emperors who were publicly known on Cloud Continent. They had never heard of him among these 10 people. Purple hair with red crimson eyes. He did not look human at all. Perhaps he's a demon emperor. Soon after, someone began to speculate. Demon emperor, a person that was in no way inferior to martial emperors and was cultivated from a demon beast. On the entire Cloud Continent, there were more than 10 publicly known demon emperors. The number was a few people more than martial emperors. I've heard of a few demon emperors, but I've never heard anyone who has the same characteristics as he does. One of the Martial Emperor's disciples said, "You guys are all wrong." Right at this moment, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who were here since the beginning shook their heads one by one. He's not a Martial Emperor or a Demon Emperor. Not a Martial Emperor or a Demon Emperor. You guys must be kidding. The group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who had just arrived on the scene frowned immediately. Disbelief was clearly written on their faces. Someone who was able to injure the Lost Stone Forest's Martial Emperor Shiqi was not a Martial Emperor or a Demon Emperor. What a joke. Perhaps his strength is equivalent to a Martial Emperor or a Demon Emperor right now. However, before he took that stone tablet out, he's definitely not a Martial Emperor or a Demon Emperor. That's right. Before he took that stone tablet out, he couldn't even defeat Senior Brother Zhou. According to Senior Brother Zhou, he's only a leader of a low-level first-rate force. He only became powerful because of that bizarre stone in his hand. All of us witnessed this with our own eyes. The group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who were present on the scene from the beginning chimed in one after another. For a moment, the group of people who had just arrived, including the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples, were stunned. They did not expect the truth would be like that. Damn it, they actually revealed everything. Zhou Yi's face was dark. He did not expect the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who were present on the scene from the very beginning would disclose the story about the stone tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand. This had completely disrupted his plan. In fact, he had already decided to take that stone tablet for himself after his master had gotten rid of Duan Ling Tian. Although his master was injured by Duan Ling Tian, he still had faith in his master since he had not used his spirit weapon yet. His master's spirit weapon was a quasi-royal grade spirit weapon that was far superior to grade 1 spirit weapons. There were only a few quasi-royal grade spirit weapons on the entire Cloud Continent. It was said that it was a relic left behind from 10,000 years ago. During these 10,000 years, many outstanding weapons craftsmen were born, but none of them could craft a quasi-royal grade spirit weapon. He believed that as long as his master used his quasi-royal grade spirit weapon, he would definitely be able to kill Duanling Tian. At that time, he would be like the fisherman who would benefit when the snip and the clam grappled by taking that stone tablet in the dead Duanling Tian's hands. He had a feeling that as long as he could get his hands on the stone tablet, his life would undergo an earth-shattering transformation. However, now that everybody knew the stone tablet in Duanling Tian's hand was unusual, even if Duanling Tian died, it would be impossible for him to take that stone tablet for himself. Even his master would most likely be interested in obtaining that stone tablet. As it turned out, Zhou had guessed correctly. When the injured Martial Emperor Shi heard the exchange between the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers and found out that the Devil Seal tablet in Duanling Tian's hand was unusual, his eyes brightened immediately. His interest was piqued as well. After that person whose strength was originally weaker than his direct disciple, Zhou activated this stone tablet, he possessed strength that was superior to himself when he was not using any spirit weapon. Initially, I thought you're a Martial Emperor or Demon Emperor, but I never thought your strength actually came from the stone tablet in your hand. A strong hint of greediness could be seen in Martial Emperor Shi's eyes when he looked at the Devil Seal tablet in Duanling Tian's hands. Although he was a Martial Emperor and there were not many things he was interested in, once he was interested in something, he would spare no effort in obtaining it. At this moment, he was interested in the stone tablet in the purple-clad young man's hand. Such a marvelous stone tablet. If I get my hands on it and obtain its power, perhaps I'll be able to become the strongest person on Cloud Continent. At that time, those people will have to go through me before they can do anything. The moment Martial Emperor Shi thought of this, he became even more interested. He was itching to get his hands on the Devil Seal tablet in Duanling Tian's hand. There was no doubt those people he had referred to were the other Martial Emperors and Demon Emperors on Cloud Continent. From today onward, that stone tablet in your hands will belong to me, Martial Emperor Shi. Nobody knew when a 7-foot-long spear had appeared in Martial Emperor Shi's hand. The moment it appeared, a vast rolling energy surged into it. With a flick of that long spear, a heaven-defying phenomenon took place immediately. The heaven and earth energy whirred in the sky, mobilized by the Martial Emperor Shi's energy. Earlier, he had more or less discovered the strength of the purple-clad young man before him. Without using any spirit weapon, he was not a match for the purple-clad young man. He was confident he could defeat him if he used his spirit weapon. However, under Martial Emperor Shi's greedy eyes, Duanling Tian ignored him completely. Instead, only his afterimage remained in front of Martial Emperor Shi as he rushed toward the distance. In that direction, a red-clad woman stood alone. It was Feng Tianwu. When Duanling Tian was flying toward Feng Tianwu, he hastily said to her, using voice transmission, "Tianwu, follow me. I don't think I can hold on any longer." At this moment, he could clearly feel his consciousness was turning weaker and weaker. It would not take long before it would be completely suppressed by the Devil Seal tablet's energy. At that time, he did not know if he could regain his consciousness. It was precisely because of this reason he felt he did not have much time left. He needed to save Tianwu from this place in the shortest time possible. The rest did not matter anymore. Zhou could guess Duanling Tian's intention when he saw Duanling Tian's afterimage after he headed in Feng Tianwu's direction. He quickly reminded Martial Emperor Shi, "Master, he's trying to escape." Duanling Tian flew toward Feng Tianwu at a speed so fast that only one person could see it clearly, while another 3 could only catch some traces of it with much difficulty. The person who could see it clearly was Martial Emperor Shi. As for the other 3, they were the 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciple, including Zhou. As for the others, they only saw Duanling Tian vanishing before their eyes. It was not until they heard Zhou Yi's cry that they learned of Duanling Tian's intention. "Big Brother Duan." The moment Feng Tianwu heard Duanling Tian's voice transmission, her delicate face darkened immediately. She did not remain at her spot and instantly flew toward the place where Duanling Tian stood earlier. She did that because she could not catch Duan Ling Tian's fast speed. Due to that reason, this was the only choice she had. When she flew out, she instantly felt a piercingly cold and strong wind that swept toward her from the front. She immediately knew she had made the right choice. Her big brother Duan was charging toward her in a straight line. All this happened in just a blink of an eye. Humph! A cold snort resonated quickly. In the next instant, Martial Emperor Shichi's figure also disappeared before almost everyone's eyes. His speed was extremely fast. It was much faster than Duan Ling Tian. When Martial Emperor Shichi made his move, he cast his movement martial technique and relied on the 7-foot-long spear. This 7-foot-long spear was a relic from 10,000 years ago. It was a quasi-royal grade spirit weapon that dominated grade 1 spirit swords. If Duan Ling Tian had taken the time to carefully observe it, he would discover this quasi-royal grade spirit spear was personally refined by the Rebirth Martial Emperor during his second reincarnation. As a quasi-royal grade spirit weapon, the 7-foot-long spear gave a 100% boost in strength. With a flick of that long spear, a heaven-defying phenomenon took place. Martial Emperor Shichi charged at Duan Ling Tian at a speed faster than lightning. Whoosh! Martial Emperor Shichi's speed was so fast that it caused the air flow in the air to vibrate and produced ear-piercing sounds of wind whistling in the air. Boom, 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 boom. When Duan Ling Tian and Martial Emperor Shichi flew out, not only did the air vibrate, it also set off thunderous sounds of explosion. If I really let you escape from here, I, Martial Emperor Shichi, will be too ashamed to stand on Cloud Continent. Martial Emperor Shichi's voice reverberated in the air accompanied by an ear-piercing sound. With just a flick, his 7-foot-long spear transformed into 3 spear rays in just a blink of an eye, charging at Duan Ling Tian. The 3 spear rays solidified. The space they flew past quivered and was in danger of falling apart. Swish, swish, swish. The 3 spear rays' speed was incredibly fast. It was so fast that even the 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciples, including Zhou Yi, could not see it clearly at all, let alone the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers. The only person who could see it clearly was the devilified Duan Ling Tian. Damn it! Duan Ling Tian was exasperated when he discovered the danger and the fact that his consciousness was soon going to be completely suppressed. After Martial Emperor Shichi used his spirit weapon, his strength was raised so much. With his speed, I won't be able to escape with Tian Wu. Duan Ling Tian's heart was torn with anxiety at this extremely crucial moment. However, although his heart was torn with anxiety, his mind was calm. Soon after, a light bulb went on in his mind. I guess this is my only choice. Tian Wu, this bottle of pill contains the royal grade resurrection pills. Hurry up and take it. Leave with it as far as you can. While Duan Ling Tian spoke to Feng Tian Wu using voice transmission, he raised a hand and threw a bottle of pills to Feng Tian Wu. Then, he immediately decreased his speed. As for the use of the royal grade resurrection pills, Duan Ling Tian did not explain anything at all. Time did not allow him to explain anything. Naturally, there was no need for him to explain since he had long told Feng Tian Wu that the only way for her to regain her memory was to consume the royal grade resurrection pills. After Duan Ling Tian threw the pill bottle out, he swiftly turned around. With a raise of his hand, he threw the Devil Seal tablet in his hand toward the 3 streaks of spear rays that Martial Emperor Shichi shot out. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 spear rays smashed on the Devil Seal tablet. A vast energy gushed into it and went into Duan Ling Tian's body through the Devil Seal tablet. It caused his vital energy and blood to churn, and he was forced to retreat 10 steps back. This Martial Emperor Shichi's strength is actually this strong. If I'm still fully conscious, I'm definitely not a match for him. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself as his vital energy and blood were in chaos inside his body. Soon after, Duan Ling Tian turned around to look at Feng Tian Wu, who was standing motionlessly at the same spot, stunned, after receiving the bottle of pills. Once again, he urged her using voice transmission, Tian Wu, go now. In the next instant, his consciousness that could only persist for a span of a few more breaths stopped resisting immediately. He let the energy from the Devil Seal tablet completely suppress his consciousness. He did this because he knew he could only fully utilize the strength given to him by the Devil Seal tablet if he was under the full control of the energy from the Devil Seal tablet. Only then would he be able to fight with Martial Emperor Shichi. Boom. Almost at the same time, when Duanling Tian lost his consciousness, his purple hair suddenly flared, and his red eyes became even more distinct. A strong wave swept out from his body again. Boom, 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 boom. The air in the surroundings where the impactful wave swept past seemed to have been sucked out. The ground within a 100-meter radius that was originally ruined cracked even further. A few trenches seemed to have transformed into bottomless abysses. All the Martial Emperor's disciples and followers were sent flying. Feng Tianwu was no different. She was sent flying far away. Even the 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciples, including Zhou Yi, were forced to retreat more than 10 steps back by the impactful wave. Their faces had turned utterly grave. He can actually still raise his strength. What kind of monster is he? The 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciples, including Zhou Yi, could clearly feel the strength of that purple-haired young man with red eyes in the distance had grown again. Big Brother Duan. Feng Tianwu, who was sent flying, finally realized what was happening. An ominous feeling rose in her heart when she saw the purple-colored figure vanished in just a second and clashed with Martial Emperor Shi as soon as he reappeared. However, she gritted her teeth and eventually fled to the outside of Lost Stone Forest when she thought about how all the things the man was doing right now was for her sake. At this moment, she wanted to remain behind and perish together with the man. However, the instant she recalled the man had asked her to leave and that she would only be a burden if she stayed behind, she decided to leave Lost Stone Forest first. At the very least, this would give him peace of mind. If you don't survive, I won't prolong my ignoble existence as well. Feng Tianwu made up her mind as she fled. If something happened to Duanling Tian, she would not continue to live alone. She would accompany him forever. Whoosh. However, a ghost-like figure appeared before her eyes and obstructed her way the moment she began to flee from Lost Stone Forest. Tianwu, have you forgotten the promise between us? The person obstructing Feng Tianwu's way was none other than Zhou Yi. When Duanling Tian and Martial Emperor Shi were locked in a tight battle, Zhou Yi was the only one who had part of his attention on Feng Tianwu. He immediately stopped Feng Tianwu when he saw she was about to leave. Although Feng Tianwu's face darkened a little, she did not reply him at all. She felt a little helpless faced with Zhou Yi. She knew it was impossible for her to escape now. For a moment, she remained motionless. She ignored Zhou Yi and looked at the 2 figures that were colliding with each other. Both of them seemed to be equally matched in strength. Zhou Yi did not mind being ignored by Feng Tianwu at all. Naturally, the main reason was due to the fact that he had bigger things to worry about. At this moment, there was no clear winner in the battle between Duanling Tian and his master. His master might win, but at the same time, Duanling Tian might win as well. It would be a happy ending if his master won. However, even if he fled now, he would most likely die if Duanling Tian won. He was very clear he would never be able to escape from Duanling Tian's palm since his strength was not inferior to his master. Due to this reason, he had targeted Feng Tianwu. At the critical moment, maybe he could use Feng Tianwu as a hostage. Duanling Tian would not act against him to avoid harming her. Although Duanling Tian's current speed was so fast that he could barely catch it, he was confident he could end Feng Tianwu's life the moment Duanling Tian tried to attack. Although he was desperate to make Feng Tianwu his, she was worthless now that it involved his life. However, what Zhou Yi did not know was that even if the Duanling Tian managed to kill his master, Martial Emperor Shi, Duanling Tian would still attack him even if Feng Tianwu was there. This was because Duanling Tian had already lost his consciousness. He was completely under the control of the Devil Seal tablet. Right now, he was like a shell that contained no soul and only energy. Only his battle instinct was left. Kill, kill, kill. As an item that had suppressed many devil cultivators, the energy contained inside was formed from the soul remnants of all the ruthless and tyrannical devil cultivators. There was only one thought left in Duanling Tian's mind when he was controlled by the energy. Kill all living creatures before him. Only he was qualified to live in this world. At this moment, he would not show any mercy at all even if it was Feng Tianwu who stood before him, since he was no longer himself. To be more precise, the body still belonged to him, but the one controlling his body was not him. Right now, his consciousness had been completely suppressed. It was as though he had entered a deep slumber. He had no idea what was happening at the moment, so how could he intervene? Due to this reason, Zhou Yi's plan was undoubtedly a foolish one. If he escaped now, he might still stand a chance of escaping. Duan Ling Tian would not deliberately chase after him after he had killed everyone in Lost Stone Forest, since he had been devilified completely. Boom, 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 boom. A thunderous sound of explosion accompanied by bursts of rolling and impactful waves that swept through half of Lost Stone Forest sent chills down the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers' spines who were watching from afar. Naturally, there were many people who were excited too. This was a Martial Emperor level battle after all. Although they could not clearly see the two figures who would disappear at one moment and clashed in the next, it still made their blood boil when the two-figure clashed and caused the entire Lost Stone Forest to quake. After living for more than half a century, this was their first time witnessing a battle between martial emperors. With just a raise of their hands, ripples could be clearly seen in the air. The entire world quaked, and no ground was left intact. And within a 100-meter radius, all of the stones, big and small, were lifted and smashed into dust. How can his strength rise so much in just a blink of an eye? Martial Emperor Shi flicked the 7-foot-long spear in his hand and made contact with the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand again. When the vital energy and blood in his body churned, he was consumed with shock. Based on his judgment, Duan Ling Tian's strength should not be stronger than him when he used his quasi-royal grade spirit weapon. However, the outcome was unexpected. If I did not break through to the 4th level Martial Emperor stage 6 months ago, I would have been defeated in today's battle. Martial Emperor Shi thought to himself. After the 7-foot-long spear in his hand clashed with the Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hands again, Martial Emperor Shi retreated quickly as he studied the purple figure before him. He had a feeling that the purple young man was slightly different from before. Since when did his eyes become so dark? He's like a zombie now. Martial Emperor Shi very quickly discovered this. The purple-clad young man before him, with purple hair and red eyes, did not seem to have changed with just a cursory glance. However, upon closer inspection, one would see his red eyes had no luster like before. Only fierceness and violence were reflected in those eyes. He seemed to have transformed into a killing machine. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian next move where he pounced directly at Martial Emperor Shi confirmed his theory even more. Faced with Duan Ling Tian's fluttering purple hair and glaring red eyes as he held the Devil Seal tablet that was releasing a black mist, chills began to envelop Martial Emperor Shi's heart. A killing machine had no emotions, only relying on his battle instinct. As long as he had energy, he would keep battling. Martial Emperor Shi knew this very well. Perhaps his strength was so well matched with the purple-clad young man that neither could gain the upper hand now. However, if they kept this up, he would definitely be defeated since he would get tired eventually. He could clearly feel the pain from his vital energy and blood churning each time they clashed. If they continued on like this, not only his body, his heart would feel tired too. No, I can't keep going on like this. If this continues, I'll die eventually. With a flick of the 7-foot-long spear in his hand, Martial Emperor Shi once again clashed with Duan Ling Tian before he retreated again. His mind began to whirl as he tried to come up with a solution. At this moment, he was absolutely certain the purple-clad young man before him had completely lost his sanity. He was under the complete control of the stone tablet in his hand. The stone's oddity lessened the greed in Martial Emperor Shi's eyes instantly. He had also noticed that although the stone tablet in the purple-clad young man's hand greatly boosted one's strength, its side effect was terrifying as well. The side effect was it would turn one into an emotionless killing machine. In the next instant, a scene that took place in the southeastern side of Lost Stone Forest shocked the 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciples, including Zhou Yi. They noticed their master was actually fleeing. As for that figure with purple hair and blood-red eyes, it was pursuing their master closely like a shadow. It caused their master to look wretched, losing the prestige of a Martial Emperor. Master Eye is escaping? Don't tell me Master is not a match for him. The Martial Emperor's direct disciple with the surname Zhao muttered to himself. He was completely baffled. His mutterings were heard by many of the Martial Emperor's disciples. Lord Martial Emperor can't defeat him. This can't be true. But senior brother Zhao said so. We can't see Lord Martial Emperor's movement clearly. But as a powerhouse who has reached the peak of the martial monarch stage, senior brother Zhao must have been able to catch something. I don't think his words are wrong. Then, if it's like this, it must be true that Lord Martial Emperor is escaping from a leader of a low-level first-rate force. For a moment, A commotion erupted among the Martial Emperor's disciples and followers. In their opinion, something impossible had just taken place. The Lord Martial Emperor, who was almost invincible in their eyes, was actually forced to flee and was being pursued by the leader of a low-level first-rate force. Wait a minute. Soon after, the hearts of the three Martial Emperor's direct disciples, including Zhou Yi, leaped as they watched the scene unfolding before their eyes. They realized their master was not fleeing. He was luring the enemy instead. To be more precise, he was luring that purple figure to a killing formation. To the Martial Emperor, the illusory formation that was set up by a martial monarch stage inscription master in Lost Stone Forest was not worth mentioning at all. However, the killing formation in Lost Stone Forest was set up by a Martial Emperor stage inscription master who was specially invited by their master. It possessed a powerful killing strength. Although it was unable to kill a Martial Emperor, it could still disrupt him. Naturally, Duan Ling Tian would not deliberately avoid the killing formation since he was under the control of the energy from the Devil Seal tablet. All he knew was he wanted to kill Martial Emperor Shiqi. Due to this reason, he entered the killing formation after Martial Emperor Shiqi lured him there. The moment he entered the killing formation, a vast energy swept out from all directions, converging toward Duan Ling at a speed so fast that it seemed as though it was trying to crush him. This energy was extremely powerful. A powerhouse who was at the peak of the martial monarch stage would be crippled if he did not die. Boom, 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 boom. The horrifying energy that originated from the killing formation swept out from all directions and exploded on Duan Ling Tian. The Devil Seal tablet in Duan Ling Tian's hand rose up to the air with lightning speed. It reached his head before it extended a layer of shield that enveloped him. Boom, 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 boom. The attack that blocked out the sky and earth fell on the light shield formed by the energy from the Devil Seal tablet. The shield quivered lightly. It was almost as though there was no pressure at all. Roar! Duan Ling Tian, who was shielded, seemed to have noticed the danger he was in. He let out a beast-like roar. In that instant, his purple hair fluttered even more as though it had transformed into a mass of purple writhing snakes. Each snake seemed to be snarling silently. Duan Ling Tian's eyes turned into an intense shade of red. It was as though blood would drip out from it soon. In the next instant, he began to make his move. With a move that was as fast as lightning, he headed straight for the vast energy coming from all directions like a shadow. Before this energy could clash with the light shield, he shattered them one by one. In the eyes of many people, Duan Ling Tian's action was pretty excessive. Every person present on the scene could see that the light shield from the Devil Seal tablet that enveloped Duan Ling Tian had nothing to fear against the energy from the killing formation at all. Now, at the moment when everyone was rendered speechless by Duan Ling Tian's actions, Martial Emperor Shiqi, who successfully lured Duan Ling Tian, finally made his move again. Swish! With a flick of the 7-foot-long spear in his hand. The horrifying energy that encircled the spear seemed to have transformed into dragons that circled and writhed before they shot out at lightning speed. The shot from his spear seemed as though it had divine help. It had a peerless, invincible force that crashed on the light shield formed by the Devil Seal tablet. Bang! A loud explosion resonated in the air. The light shield trembled as the 7-foot-long spear's energy dissipated. A hole the size of 3 adults' fists appeared on the light shield. Whoosh! At the moment when the hole began to repair itself, Martial Emperor Shiqi made his move again. He thrust his palms out and aimed it at Duan Ling Tian through the hole. To be more precise, he was aiming at Duan Ling Tian's dantian. Boom! In that instant, Duan Ling Tian's dantian instantly shattered. Then, like a balloon that exploded, the origin energy inside gushed out ferociously before it was finally depleted. Zhou Yi's eyes brightened up immediately at this moment. Slightly excited, he cried out in a deep voice. Master has crippled his dantian. Big brother Duan. Horror dawned on Feng Tianwu. Martial Emperor Shiqi was so fast that only the 3 Martial Emperor's direct disciples could see it clearly, apart from the devilified Duan Ling Tian. His dantian is already crippled. The result is clear now. A dazzling smile appeared on the face of the Martial Emperor's direct disciple with the surname Zhao as he sighed in relief. His dantian was crippled? The group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers felt like they were in a dream. However, the facts before their eyes forced them to believe it. That purple-clad young man who fought with their Lost Stone Forest Lord Martial Emperor on equal footing had his dantian crippled by Lord Martial Emperor. Humph. He's basically digging his own grave by coming to our Lost Stone Forest to pick a fight. Exactly. Our Lost Stone Forest's Lord Martial Emperor is famous on Cloud Continent. Who is he to fight with our Lord Martial Emperor? He thinks too highly of himself. When the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers saw the tide had turned, they did not forget to mock Duan Ling Tian. Their faces were filled with ridicule as they laughed. However, the laughter on their faces froze soon after. This was because what happened next was completely beyond their imagination. In their opinion, Duan Ling Tian would not have the strength to fight anymore since his Dantian was crippled. He would soon be killed by their Lost Stone Forest's Lord Martial Emperor. However, this was not the case. When Duan Ling Tian's Dantian was crippled by the palm that Martial Emperor Shi thrust out, the origin energy in his Dantian was completely drained. However, the Dantian that had lost all its origin energy was suddenly enveloped by the black mist on his body. In the next instance, the black mist began to churn rapidly and formed a black whirlpool before it released a great and terrifying suction energy. Boom! At this moment, the Devil Seal tablet above Duan Ling Tian's head quivered as a blood-curdling, impactful wave swept out and sent Martial Emperor Shi, who was standing close to him, flying away. Barf! Martial Emperor Shi, who was sent flying, turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood in a wretched manner. He looked at Duan Ling Tian with a bewildered expression on his face. How is this possible? I've already crippled his Dantian. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, waves of black energy flowed out from the Devil Seal tablet quickly and forcefully poured into his Dantian when the black whirlpool appeared in Duan Ling Tian's crippled Dantian. The whirlpool in Duan Ling Tian's Dantian was like a beast with its bloody mouth open wide as it consumed all the energy that came from the Devil Seal tablet. During this process, bursts of vast and tremendous energy continued to spread out. It sent chills down everyone's spines, including Martial Emperor Shi. The energy was strong and tyrannical. What energy is that? Horror dawned on Martial Emperor Shi's face. He felt the purple-clad young man's energy that kept increasing seemed to have gone beyond his comprehension scope. At a place where nobody could see, inside Duan Ling Tian's Dantian, waves of black energy merged with his Dantian and continued to gather in the middle of his Dantian before it finally accumulated, solidifying into a black flame that emitted a dark soul aura. Without warning, Duan Ling Tian's purple hair that was fluttering in the wind gradually fell over his shoulders. The tyranny in his red eyes seemed to be less intense as well. In the next instant, he suddenly lifted his head and looked at Martial Emperor Shi. Just one look made Martial Emperor Shi felt a hint of dread. He immediately became guarded as though he was confronted by a formidable enemy. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian's next move took everyone on the scene by surprise. After he glanced at Martial Emperor Shi, he disappeared before everyone's eyes as though he was not there in the first place. How fast? Duan Ling Tian's speed was so fast. It took Martial Emperor Shi by surprise that he instantly narrowed his eyes. A hint of fear could be seen on his face. He realized that Duan Ling Tian's current speed was so fast that he would not be able to catch up to him even if he used his quasi-royal Great Spirit Spear and unleashed his maximum flying speed. Although Duan Ling Tian's departure was sudden, it made Martial Emperor Shi heave a sigh of relief. He had a feeling he would have died if Duan Ling Tian, whose Dantian had transformed, attacked him earlier. That's fast. The two Martial Emperor's direct disciples, whose surname was Zhao and Sun, were baffled. They discovered they could not even catch any trace of the purple-clad young man's movement when he disappeared. Zhou Yi, who had also noticed this, turned grave instantly. However, his eyes lit up again in the next instant. This was because he realized when Duan Ling Tian left, he did not bring the woman along with him. Moreover, he did not even bring the mysterious stone tablet that bestowed him great power. However, his face very quickly turned grave again when he noticed the stone tablet was already in his master's hand. He knew it was impossible for him to get his hands on that stone tablet now. Big Brother Duan, standing by the side, Feng Tianwu's extremely beautiful and delicate face was filled with concern. From the beginning until the end, she did not miss the transformation on Duan Ling Tian's body. Although he did not bring her along when he left, she did not blame him at all. Not only did she not blame him, but she was very worried about Duan Ling Tian. She knew something must have happened to him even though she had no idea what exactly happened. Whoosh! Feng Tianwu's red dress fluttered as she prepared to leave Lost Stone Forest to chase after Duan Ling Tian. However, she was blocked by Zhou Yi again in the next instant. He warned nonchalantly, "Don't forget the promise between you and I. If you escape now, I'll make a trip to the Ling Tian sect and annihilate the entire Ling Tian sect." Feng Tianwu's face turned dark when she heard Zhou Yi's threat. She snarled in a low voice, "You've already seen my big brother Duan's power. You still dare to pick a fight with me in the Ling Tian sect? Aren't you afraid of death?" "Humph," Zhou Yi snorted with disdain. "I admit that Duan Ling Tian is indeed very powerful. However, that was the strength the stone tablet gave him. Right now, he has lost the stone tablet. Do you think I'll still be afraid of him even if he comes back?" Zhou Yi's face was filled with ridicule. In his opinion, Duan Ling Tian was no match for him without that stone tablet. He would be able to kill him easily with just a flip of his palm. Although Feng Tianwu was extremely angry, she still held back when she thought about the significance of Ling Tian's sect to her big brother Duan. "I hope you don't regret your decision." In the end, Feng Tianwu glanced Zhou Yi coldly before she turned around to return to the stone house she was staying in. "Regret? I, Zhou Yi, have no idea what regret means." Zhou Yi snorted before shifting his eyes to the Devil Seal tablet in Martial Emperor Shichi's hands that was left behind by Duan Ling Tian. A hint of greed rose up on his face immediately. The eyes of every Martial Emperor's disciples and followers, including the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples, were also trained on the Devil Seal tablet in Martial Emperor Shichi's hand. They were more or less similar to Zhou Yi. That stone tablet had given them the shock of their lives. It actually allowed a martial monarch who was no match for Zhou Yi to possess strength that was able to compete with their Lost Stone Forest's Martial Emperor Shichi. Moreover, even if the person's Dantian was crippled after his strength was raised by activating the stone tablet, he would still remain powerful and could even fly. In their opinion, this should have been impossible. In a faraway place at the eastern side of Lost Stone Forest, whoosh, a purple figure disappeared from Lost Stone Forest in just a blink of an eye. It was none other than Duan Ling Tian, who had just left Lost Stone Forest. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian still retained his appearance from after he was devilified. He still had purple hair and emotionless red eyes like a zombie. "Your courage is really huge, boy. Much bigger than mine. With the body of an innate martial artist, you actually dragged the remnant soul energy inside the Devil Seal tablet into your body 3 times. You really don't want to live anymore." A boisterous voice that was full of vigor suddenly rang in Duan Ling Tian's mind. "Humph, if I didn't gather my soul and was reborn again after completely absorbing the soul remnant energy in the Devil Seal tablet, you would have died a long time ago. However, you don't have to thank me at all. By using the Devil Seal tablet 3 times, it can be considered as you indirectly helping me to gather my soul for rebirth. I guess we'll call it even." The owner of the boisterous voice blabbered nonstop. "However, you still owe me a life. If I didn't stop you from attacking that little boy at the innate void restoration stage, your soul would have been shattered. You better believe me. Your soul is already on the verge of shattering after going through all the wear and tear. If you still continue to randomly use the soul remnant energy from the Devil Seal tablet to attack, your soul will definitely shatter. If your soul shatters, I'll be forced to accept this lousy body of yours. I don't want this lousy body of yours. No, thank you. Remember, you owe me a life, so you must find a high-quality body for me. My requirement is not high. I just want the body of a dragon clan's lineal descendant." The chatterbox continued on without any signs of exhaustion. "Oh yeah, I forgot that you can't hear me now, boy. Still, I must admit that I feel much better now being able to talk after not being able to for so many years. I'll let the remaining soul remnant energy in your body find a place for you to stop before I absorb all of it and revive your soul that's suppressed. If I absorb all of it now, you'll definitely die. At that time, both of us are doomed. You're a disabled person now that your Dantian is crippled. How embarrassing that your Dantian is crippled by a little boy at the innate void restoration stage." The chatterbox continued on, showing no signs of stopping at all. It was fortunate that Duan Ling Tian could not hear him at the moment. Otherwise, he would definitely be agitated and annoyed. In just a blink of an eye, 3 days had gone by. Lost Stone Forest regained its tranquility, and the southeastern side of the stone forest that was destroyed had been restored as well. It did not look like it had been destroyed before. The group of Martial Emperor's followers was very efficient. Although the stone forest had been restored, The incident that had taken place 3 days ago would be remembered forever by the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers who were present that day. Occasionally, when the purple-clad young man with purple hair and red eyes appeared in their minds, it would instantly send chills down their spines and goosebumps would appear their skin. That purple figure had become their nightmare. Whoosh! Today, a figure suddenly appeared outside of Lost Stone Forest. It was a sturdy old man dressed in a long robe. His face was fully covered with a grayish-white curly beard while his unbound grayish-white hair laid behind his shoulders on his back. When the wind blew, the long robe on the old man's body fluttered. It seemed as though it had transformed into a blazing flame, causing him to look like a fire god descending from the sky. Without any warning, the red-robed old man disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared again, he was already inside Lost Stone Forest. All the illusory and killing formations in Lost Stone Forest were ignored by him. Entering the Lost Stone Forest was like strolling on normal grounds for him. Who is this? The moment the red-robed old man appeared, many Martial Emperor's followers were taken by surprise. A group of Martial Emperor's followers appeared and surrounded the old man. Dread could be seen on these Martial Emperor's followers' faces. They were a little scared in their hearts. This old man would not be as freaky as the purple-clad young man from 3 days ago, right? The two of them seemed quite similar, at the very least. The way they entered Lost Stone Forest as though they were strolling on normal grounds and ignoring all the illusory and killing formations were similar. The red-robed old man was frowning at the appearance of the group of Martial Emperor's followers in Lost Stone Forest when his eyes suddenly lit up as though he had noticed something. Fire spirit body. In the next instant, he sighed before vanishing into thin air before of the group of Martial Emperor's followers. Whoosh! The instant the red-robed old man disappeared, all of the Martial Emperor's followers felt a gust of strong wind that swept through Lost Stone Forest. Shit! He went in. Horror dawned on all the Martial Emperor's followers. Enemy invasion. Enemy invasion. A powerhouse has trespassed into Lost Stone Forest. The group of Martial Emperor's followers immediately flew out at full speed and charged into Lost Stone Forest. They were shouting at the top of their lungs anxiously, trying to warn the Martial Emperor's disciples and followers deep inside Lost Stone Forest, not to mention the direct disciples and Martial Emperor Shirchi too. Deep inside Lost Stone Forest, a figure appeared out of thin air in front of a stone house that was made from a hollow, gigantic stone. It was none other than the sturdy old man dressed in a red robe. He was the one who had trespassed into Lost Stone Forest. The old man was looking at the stone house with bright eyes. It seemed as though he was talking to air as he asked with a slightly heavy tone, "You had a fire spirit body previously? How do you know?" Almost as soon as his words left his mouth, the stone house's door automatically opened, and a figure similar to a fiery elf appeared before the old man. It was a woman dressed in red. The woman had an extremely beautiful and delicate face that could topple nations. The moment she appeared, the surroundings seemed muted in comparison. Excellent, excellent. The old man studied the red-clad woman before him from top to bottom and continuously repeated the word excellent. The more he looked at her, the more pleased he was with her. "What's your name?" The old man looked at the red-clad woman kindly. The woman was none other than Feng Tianwu. "You haven't replied me," Feng Tianwu said, ignoring the old man's question. "I once possessed the fire spirit body too." The old man smiled as he said, "It can be said that we're both the same type of human." "You had a fire spirit body too?" Feng Tianwu was slightly surprised when she heard the old man's words. Although she had lost her memory, she learned she had the fire spirit body from the man she loved. She also knew it was all thanks to that man that she managed to rid herself of the trouble that came with having a fire spirit body. She also knew how difficult it was for someone with a fire spirit body to free themselves from the shackles of the fire spirit body before they turned 30 years old unless they died. Since the old man managed to free himself from the shackles of the fire spirit body, it meant that he was not an ordinary person. Only the same innate spirit body would be able to sense each other. "Can't you sense that I'm quite friendly?" the old man asked with a warm smile. "Yeah, a little." Feng Tianwu nodded. She just realized, even though she was usually cold to everyone apart from that man, she did not show her cold expression to this old man whom she had just met. Moreover, she even began to chat with him. "Who are you? How dare you trespass on our Lost Stone Forest?" Right at this moment, a cold and thunderous voice resonated in the air, causing Feng Tianwu to turn pale. She looked at the red-clad old man before her and urged him, "Hurry up and leave this place. The people here are not friendly." You're kind. The red-robed old man smiled before nodding in satisfaction. Nobody knew what he was thinking. In the next instant, he turned around and saw a young man rushing over nearby. The young man was fully dressed in black and had a big build. He was currently glaring at the red-robed old man in anger as he snarled, "Old man, do you know the consequences of trespassing into our lost stone forest?" The black-clad young man was none other than Zhou Yi. The red-robed old man looked into Zhou Yi's eyes calmly as he asked nonchalantly, "Consequences? I'm curious. What kind of consequences? Since you're so curious, let me tell you then. Your consequence is death." Zhou Yi did not expect the red-robed old man would talk back. He was immediately infuriated. With a loud roar, he charged at the old man with lightning speed. Watch out! Zhou Yi's speed was too fast that Feng Tianwu could not save him in time. All she could do was let out a shrill cry. Boom! Soon after, a loud explosion resonated in the air. It was accompanied by rolling air waves that transformed into flurries of hurricanes that caused the gigantic stones in the surroundings to quake. The stone house that Feng Tianwu stayed in was completely shattered by the hurricane. The stone house was originally made by hollowing a gigantic stone, so it was a lot weaker than ordinary gigantic stones. Barf! In the next instant, Feng Tianwu saw Zhou Yi was sent flying like an arrow that left its bow. While he was flying midway, he vomited blood. It made him look extremely wretched. As for the red-robed old man, he was standing in the same spot. He did not even move an inch. It was as though nothing had happened at all. Why, you're a martial emperor. After Zhou Yi managed to stabilize himself, he paled as he looked at the red-robed old man. Only a martial emperor could withstand his attack without moving an inch. Your strength is quite good among martial monarch stage martial artists. If I'm not wrong, you must be the direct disciple of Shiqi Boy, right? The red-robed old man asked nonchalantly as he gave Zhou Yi a cursory glance. Shiqi Boy? The moment these words left the red-robed old man's mouth, Zhou Yi was not the only one who was dumbfounded. Even Feng Tianwu was baffled. This old man actually referred to the owner of Lost Stone Forest, Martial Emperor Shiqi, as boy. As Martial Emperor Shiqi's favorite direct disciple, Zhou Yi was extremely good at reading the atmosphere. He knew he had encountered a remarkable person. He asked nervously, "Why you? May I know who you are, senior?" The red-robed old man ignored Zhou Yi's query. Instead, he shouted loudly, "Shiqi Boy, what kind of haughty air are you putting on? Don't tell me you want me to invite you out." The red-robed old man's voice contained origin energy, and in just a blink of an eye, it swept through the entire Lost Stone Forest. The entire Lost Stone Forest was in an uproar. "Shiqi Boy? Dear Lord, who's this person? How dare he call Lord Martial Emperor boy? If he's not here to pick a fight, it's very likely he's Lord Martial Emperor's senior." Many Martial Emperor's disciples and followers were discussing with each other. As for the Martial Emperor's followers who were chasing the red-robed old man all the way into Lost Stone Forest, they immediately came to a halt and exchanged looks with each other. One of the Martial Emperor's follower gulped before he asked, "Don't tell me the old man who called Lord Martial Emperor boy is the old man from earlier? It should be him. It's impossible for another old man to appear in Lost Stone Forest at this time. How can this be a coincidence? It must be him." Another Martial Emperor's follower chimed in. Soon after, a group of furious Martial Emperor's followers who were charging toward their target deep inside Lost Stone Forest turned around one by one and returned to their station. At this moment, they realized the red-robed old man was not someone they could afford to offend. Deep inside Lost Stone Forest, Martial Emperor Shiqi emerged soon after the red-robed old man opened his mouth. Senior Qihua. After he made his entrance, he bowed politely toward the red-robed old man. This scene took Zhou Yi and Feng Tianwu by surprise. Even the other two Martial Emperor's direct disciples who came here after hearing the voice stood rooted to their spots, shocked. They did not regain their senses for a long time. The red-robed old man whom Martial Emperor Shiqi addressed as Qihua studied Martial Emperor Shiqi in fascination. He asked, "Shiqi, judging by your speed, you've made a breakthrough? Senior Qihua, you have really good eyesight." Martial Emperor Shiqi smiled as he nodded. He asked, "Senior Qihua, since when did you return to Cloud Continent?" What? Since when did he return to Cloud Continent? The moment these words left Martial Emperor Shiqi's mouth, Feng Tianwu was not the only one who looked at Qihua in confusion. Even Zhou Yi felt it was strange. "He's a powerhouse from outside Cloud Continent. I just came back," Qihua said. He looked at Zhou Yi before he nonchalantly said, Shi, this disciple of yours is quite powerful. Upon hearing Chihua's words, Zhou Yi hastily took 2 steps forward and bowed humbly as he apologized politely before his master could even reply. Senior Chihua, I didn't know your identity earlier. I'm sorry for my transgression earlier. Please forgive me. Martial Emperor Shi returned to his senses at this moment. He looked at Zhou Yi and asked in a deep voice, What did you do, Zhou Yi? Master, I initially thought Senior Chihua is an intruder in our Lost Stone Forest so. Zhou Yi did not continue, but Martial Emperor Shi could already guess what had happened earlier. Senior Chihua, I'm sorry for my disciple's behavior. I hope you'll forgive us. Martial Emperor Shi apologized as well. As he bowed at Senior Chihua, a hint of humbleness could be seen in his eyes. It's only a small matter. I don't mind. Chihua shook his head. He paused before he continued again. The reason I came back to Cloud Continent this time is to tell you that thing has been brought forward by a year. You can start accepting disciples in masses now. Brought forward by a year. Martial Emperor Shi was startled. But why, Senior Chihua? As for the reason why, I have no idea as well. I'm merely a messenger. Now that I've completed my task, I should take my leave now. Chihua replied nonchalantly. Then, he turned to look at the red-clad woman standing at the side. It was Feng Tianwu. When he reached the end of his sentence, he took a good look at Martial Emperor Shi and asked, I want to take this doll away with me. You're okay with it, right? Of course. Martial Emperor Shi replied immediately, not to mention the fact that Feng Tianwu had no relationship with him. Even if there was, and she was his direct disciple, he would definitely hand her over to Chihua if he asked. Zhou Yi's face darkened when heard Chihua's intention of bringing Feng Tianwu away. However, he did not dare to say anything. After all, this was someone that even his master, Martial Emperor Shi, feared. Naturally, he did not dare to look for trouble with him. Girl, follow me. With your innate talent, you should not be buried over here. Chihua told Feng Tianwu. It was apparent he thought Feng Tianwu was Lost Stone Forest's Martial Emperor's direct disciple. Feng Tianwu looked at Martial Emperor Shi and Zhou Yi before she slowly replied, I can go with you, but you have to help me kill them. Huh? Chihua was stunned. He looked at Martial Emperor Shi and Zhou Yi. After looking at them until chills ran down both their spines, he asked curiously, Did they offend you? Initially, he thought this red-clad woman was also a direct disciple of Martial Emperor Shi, but now it did not appear to be the case. They deserve to die. Feng Tianwu replied coldly. When Martial Emperor Shi saw Chihua looking at him from top to bottom, he became anxious and tried to explain, Senior Chihua, However, he was interrupted by Chihua. Don't you think it'll be better if you kill them with your own power? Chihua asked as he looked at Feng Tianwu. Upon hearing this, Feng Tianwu fell silent immediately. Feng Tianwu remained silent. It seemed as though she was thinking about something as she looked at Martial Emperor Shi and Zhou Yi. Martial Emperor Shi and Zhou Yi's expression changed when they noticed Feng Tianwu's dilemma. They were really worried she would insist on Chihua killing them. Based on Chihua's attitude toward the lady before him, they did not think Chihua would reject her request. Hand over the tablet, Feng Tianwu said in a deep voice as she looked at Martial Emperor Shi. Tablet. Martial Emperor Shi's expression changed drastically when he heard Feng Tianwu's words. Naturally, he knew what tablet the lady before him was talking about. It was the tablet the purple-clad young man left behind 3 days ago. The mysterious and strange tablet granted the purple-clad young man a power that even he was terrified of. He had been studying the tablet for the past 3 days, but his effort yielded no results. However, he had a strong feeling he would definitely be able to figure it out if he studied it further. Although he was sure that the tablet would make one lose their mind, he was moved when he thought about the terrifying power the stone tablet granted the purple-clad young man. However, the lady before him was asking him to hand over the tablet. He hesitated. With Chihua's presence, it was impossible for him to not hand it over. However, he was unwilling to hand it over. When Martial Emperor Shi was struggling with his thoughts, a familiar voice entered his ears through voice transmission. Master, I have an idea for you to keep the tablet. Martial Emperor Shi's eyes lit up when he heard that voice. He could tell that it came from Zhou Yi, who was standing next to him. What is it? Martial Emperor Shi asked immediately. Even if Zhou Yi came up with a bad plan, he was still excited since Zhou Yi said he had an idea for him to keep the tablet. Master, we can. Zhou Yi told Martial Emperor Shi the idea he had through voice transmission. All right, we'll do as you said. I forgot you have the ability to memorize things quickly. Martial Emperor Shi responded through voice transmission. There was joy in the depth of his eyes. Shi, this girl's asking for something from you. This implies she'll kill you herself in the future. If I attack, she won't have to ask for it from you because everything in your possession will belong to her if you die. Although he had no idea what tablet the lady next to him was asking from Martial Emperor Chihua's face turned somber when he noticed Martial Emperor Chi's hesitation. There was a hint of anger in his voice when he spoke. He would not have suggested to the lady next to him to kill Martial Emperor Chi and his disciple herself in the future if it was not for the relationship between him and Martial Emperor Chi. It would be inconvenient for him to kill Martial Emperor Chi himself. However, he would still attack if Feng Tianwu insisted on it. In his opinion, Feng Tianwu was much more important than Martial Emperor Chi. Compared to Feng Tianwu, his insignificant relationship with Martial Emperor Chi was not worth mentioning at all. Martial Emperor Chi jolted when he heard the anger in Chihua's voice and said immediately, "Senior Chihua, I kept the tablet at the place where I cultivate. I'll bring it over." "Go," Chihua said calmly. "Yes." Martial Emperor Chi responded immediately before he left. After Martial Emperor Chi left, Zhou Yi glanced at Chihua, pretending to feel anxious. "Senior Chihua, I'll go with Martial Emperor Chi." Zhou Yi left immediately and chased after Martial Emperor Chi without waiting for Chihua's response. Only a group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers and the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples were left watching in the distance. Who is that red-robed old man? Even Master is respectful to him. This is unbelievable. One of the Martial Emperor's direct disciples mumbled. The other Martial Emperor's direct disciple did not speak, but he looked at the old man with fear. Meanwhile, the group of Martial Emperor's disciples and followers were shocked. They were shocked to the point that they did not regain their senses for a long time. Even after they regained their senses, none of them dared to speak. They were afraid of saying the wrong thing and offending the red-robed old man standing in the distance. This was not a joke. Even their Lost Stone Forest Martial Emperor had to respectfully bow to that red-robed old man when they met. The Lost Stone Forest Martial Emperor was like a mouse seeing a cat when he was with the red-robed old man. "Where are you bringing me to?" Feng Tianwu asked as she looked at Chihua. "Outside Cloud Continent. There's a land that's even more vast. The environment for cultivation there is better. I'll try my best to provide you with the best cultivation resources." Chihua said with burning desire in his eyes. "Your talent is much better than mine." As someone who once possessed the fire spirit body, Chihua easily discovered Feng Tianwu's talent. She was even more talented than he was. "You want me to be your disciple?" Feng Tianwu asked. "That's right." Chihua nodded and smiled before he said, "In my entire life, I've only taken 3 direct disciples when I was on Cloud Continent. Now I'm only left with 1. Chihua's voice turned sad when he spoke about this. "Just because I used to have the fire spirit body?" Feng Tianwu asked. "That's right." Chihua nodded and solemnly said, "Although you've gotten rid of the fire spirit body, your body is modified by a substance that's close to the fire attribute. As long as you cultivate fire attribute methods, your elevation will skyrocket." Chihua's burning desire was revealed again when he spoke. "I have a feeling your achievement will definitely surpass mine in the future. I can be your disciple, and I can leave with you, but I hope you can promise me something before that." Feng Tianwu said. "Do tell." The more Chihua looked at Feng Tianwu, the more satisfied he felt. He would say yes to whatever Feng Tianwu's request was. As Chihua and Feng Tianwu were talking, Martial Emperor Chi and Zhou Yi were standing across each other in a stone house that was made from an even bigger hollow rock. This was the place where Martial Emperor Chi cultivated. Zhou Yi memorized the words and patterns on the tablet immediately. "I'll look for a rock that's similar to this tablet. Make a table that looks similar, and I'll bring it to Senior Chihua." Martial Emperor Chi lifted his arm and passed a tablet with a chipped corner to Zhou Yi. He vanished into thin air after that. His and Zhou Yi's plan was to make a tablet that looked exactly the same to give to Chihua, whom Feng Tianwu depended on. Although it was easy to trace the lines and patterns following the tablet, it would take a long time. After all, one would need time to look at it as one copied it. He did not have that much time now. However, Zhou Yi possessed the ability to memorize everything that he had seen. As long as he had seen it, it would be imprinted in his mind. Therefore, All he needed to do was memorize the words and patterns on the tablet and create a similar copy. It would only take a while. Zhou Yi's plan was to commit fraud. Naturally, he came up with the plan not for Martial Emperor Shi, but for himself. Master, I'm sorry. I want this tablet for myself. Zhou Yi's eyes sparkled like stars in the sky as he held the tablet in his hand. Subsequently, another tablet appeared in his hand when he lifted his arm. At a glance, it looked exactly the same as the tablet that he was holding in regards to size, words, and patterns. Even the chipped corn looked exactly the same. I was waiting for the right time to carry out this plan. I didn't expect even God would help me. This tablet that Duan Ling Tian left behind belongs to me from now. Zhou Yi moved his arm and put the tablet that Martial Emperor Shi handed to him away. He held the other tablet that he had made earlier in his arm as though it was the real tablet. Martial Emperor Shi, who was currently looking for a suitable rock, would never expect this direct disciple of his had already memorized everything about the tablet since 3 days ago. Apart from that, he even spent some time looking for a suitable rock to ensure it would look like the stone tablet. It was a fake Devil Seal tablet. Whoosh! Martial Emperor Shi returned in the span of a few breaths. He held a big rock in his arm. Zhou Yi, if you get us through this, Master will definitely reward you. Thank you, Master. Zhou Yi responded immediately as he took the rock. However, inwardly, he disdained his master. What kind of reward could Martial Emperor Shi give him? Martial Emperor Shi would not give him the tablet no matter what. Fortunately, he managed to obtain the tablet with his own ability. After the rock was handed over to Zhou Yi, he lifted his arm and a saber appeared in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After more than 10 breaths, a tablet that looked similar to the Devil Seal tablet appeared in his hands. Zhou Yi handed the 2 fake Devil Seal tablets to Martial Emperor Shi and asked with a smile, Master, what do you think? Martial Emperor Shi had no idea that the real Devil Seal tablet had been replaced with a fake one. As he compared both the Devil Seal tablets, his eyes lit up. It's exactly the same. They look exactly the same. Even I can't tell it's fake if I haven't seen the real one. Martial Emperor Shi exclaimed as he looked at the fake Devil Seal tablet that Zhou Yi replaced and the one he had just made. Master, let's give this fake tablet to the lady. I won't be going with you. I'm going into closed-door cultivation now so that I can elevate my cultivation base to serve Master better. Zhou Yi said respectfully as he looked at Martial Emperor Shi. Martial Emperor Shi nodded. He was not suspicious at all. Subsequently, he vanished before Zhou Yi's eyes. He did not suspect Zhou Yi at all. Naturally, it was because he did not think Zhou Yi would have prepared a fake Devil Seal tablet in advance, waiting for an opportunity to commit fraud. The saying, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind, was perfect to describe this situation. Naturally, Martial Emperor Shi was the mantis. When Zhou Yi saw Martial Emperor Shi had left, his face was filled with excitement as he took a deep breath. However, he calmed down again soon after. I must leave Lost Stone Forest now and go to a place where Master can't find me so I can study the tablet Duan Ling Tian left behind. Zhou Yi thought to himself before he rushed out and left Lost Stone Forest. He flew north at lightning speed after leaving Lost Stone Forest. He did not dare to delay at all. I must leave to somewhere far away before Master discovers the tablet is fake. Otherwise, he'll definitely kill me. The pressure from that gave Zhou Yi the strength to run for his life. Although he was the direct disciple whom Martial Emperor Shi valued to the most, Martial Emperor Shi would not show mercy in regards to this matter. Nobody should offend a Martial Emperor's pride. In the vast Lost Stone Forest, nobody knew about Zhou Yi's departure, including Martial Emperor Shi. Senior Chihua. Martial Emperor Shi held the fake Devil Seal tablet Zhou Yi made and handed it over to Chihua and Feng Tianwu. Is this it? Chihua asked. Feng Tianwu nodded. She did not notice the Devil Seal tablet was fake and immediately put it into her spatial ring. If that's settled, I'll bring you to look for your big brother Duan. Chihua said to Feng Tianwu. Thank you, Master. Feng Tianwu thanked him immediately. That was the condition Feng Tianwu named in exchange for becoming Chihua's disciple. Chihua smiled in satisfaction and left with Feng Tianwu. 2 fiery red silhouettes vanished before Martial Emperor Shi's eyes. He felt relieved as though a burden had been lifted off him. Soon after, a faint smile appeared on his face. I managed to keep the tablet with me after all. As soon as I figure out the tablet, I no longer have to fear Chihua. Martial Emperor Shi muttered to himself as his eyes gleamed. As a martial emperor powerhouse on Cloud Continent, Martial Emperor Shi had his pride. Although he had to be humble and front Chihua since he was afraid of Chihua's strength, he could not help feeling like his pride was trampled on. Master, Master! At this moment, the two Martial Emperor's direct disciples who had been watching from the side approached Martial Emperor Shi. They looked confused when they asked about the red-robed man's background. When Chihua was still on Cloud Continent, I was his disciple. I was only a 9th level martial monarch powerhouse while he was a Martial Emperor. Martial Emperor Shi said slowly. His eyes were sparkling. Fwa. The two Martial Emperor's direct disciples were shocked when they heard Martial Emperor Shi's words. It did not cross their minds that the owner of Lost Stone Forest, Martial Emperor Shi, was once a disciple of the red-robed old man. Master, were you his direct disciple? One of the Martial Emperor's direct disciples asked. No, to him, I was never as good as his 3 direct disciples, so he had never taken me as his direct disciple. Martial Emperor Shi shook his head. There was resentment in his voice when he spoke. The two Martial Emperor's direct disciples froze after listening to Martial Emperor Shi's words. The red-robed old man did not think their master was good enough back then and was unwilling to take their master as his direct disciple. He must regret it now. I bet he didn't expect you to break through to the Martial Emperor stage and become a remarkable Martial Emperor powerhouse on Cloud Continent. One of the Martial Emperor's direct disciples said. I didn't expect to break through to the Martial Emperor stage either. But he didn't regret a thing because all 3 of his direct disciples broke through to the Martial Emperor stage before I did. Martial Emperor Shi said. The two Martial Emperor's direct disciples fell silent after hearing Martial Emperor Shi's words. They realized how terrifying the red-robed old man was when they found out 3 of his direct disciples broke through to the Martial Emperor stage before their master, Martial Emperor Shi, did. If that was the case, how scary was he then? It was difficult for them to imagine that. Meanwhile, a silhouette descended on a lush valley in a mountain range near a big city in the inner land's central zone on Cloud Continent. The silhouette stood in the valley with black mist surrounding him, releasing a terrifying aura. It caused the birds to fly away and the ferocious beasts to run for their lives. It was a purple-clad young man. Compared to ordinary people, he had demonic long purple hair that fluttered even though there was no wind. It looked like snakes writhing. It gave people goosebumps. Apart from that, his eyes were red, different from ordinary people. He was like a bloodthirsty Shura who had just crawled out of hell. It's been 3 days. I finally found a decent place. At this moment, a loud and exuberant voice sounded in the purple-clad young man's head. Now I'll absorb the remaining soul remnant energy in this kid's body. But once I'm done absorbing the soul remnant energy, this kid won't have access to it anymore. Poor kid. As the voice continued chattering, the black mist surrounded the purple-clad young man's body who was standing in the valley before it was drawn into his body and his head. He stood motionlessly without any expression on his face for a long time. However, his long purple hair and red eyes were fading away. He finally looked human after his hair and eyes turned black. I'm finally done absorbing it. This kid's soul is broken? Would he become a dummy? The loud voice sounded again 15 minutes later. However, it was no longer cheerful. A broken soul was a serious matter. If it was minor, one would lose their memory. If it was severe, one would turn into a dummy or fall into a coma for the rest of his life. He would become a walking dead. Strange, very strange. What kind of monster is this kid? His soul's restoring itself. Looking at the speed, he'll be completely healed in 3 to 5 years' time. The voice began to speak again, regaining its cheer. At this moment, the purple-clad young man who was standing in the valley with a frozen expression on his face finally moved. There was a hint of life in his vacant eyes now. Colors began to return to his pale and frozen face. The purple-clad young man stretched his numb body lightly and opened his arms. He muttered emotionlessly, "Oh, who exactly am I? How would I know who you are?" Almost as soon as the purple-clad young man spoke, a loud voice sounded in his head. The shock caused his expression to change drastically. "Who are you? Why are you inside my body?" The purple-clad young man's eyes widened in panic. "Why are you panicking? If a saint like me wants to take advantage of you, you would have been dead earlier, you ungrateful kid. If it's not for me, you would have been dead," the loud voice said in disdain. "You mean, you saved me?" The purple-clad young man raised his eyebrows when he heard what the voice said. He shook his dizzy head. I can't remember. It's normal. Your soul's broken. It would be odd if you remember everything." The loud voice spoke again. Broken soul. The purple-clad young man's widened again. My soul's broken. I don't remember who I am, and I don't remember you saving me either. According to the memories I'm left with, a broken soul is not something good. Nonsense. Of course, it's not good, the loud voice said, annoyed. But since you know having a broken soul isn't good, it shows that your memory isn't completely gone. It's just selective amnesia. Naturally, the person had no control over what he remembered. I think I remember. Fused profundity, sword profundity. Where's my origin energy? The purple-clad young man frowned as a five-colored energy and ferocious sword energy rose from his body. He seemed to notice that something was wrong. Your dantian is severed. Naturally, the origin energy stored in your dantian is gone too, the loud voice said. My dantian is severed. The purple-clad young man muttered to himself and frowned after he heard that. This doesn't seem good too, but I think it's easy to fix a severed dantian. Easy? Yeah, right. The best healing medicinal pills on your tiny little mortal continent are just acquired medicinal pills. Do you want to restore your dantian without innate medicinal pills? You must be dreaming. There was disdain in the loud voice. Innate medicinal pills? I don't think it's called innate medicinal pills. Let me think. I think it's called royal grade resurrection pills. Yes, it's royal grade resurrection pills. A medicinal pill bottle appeared in the purple-clad young man's hand as he mumbled to himself. He opened the medicinal pill bottle and poured the medicinal pills onto his hand. The fragrance spread throughout the valley and attracted many birds and wild ferocious beasts. Although they came, none of them dared to come close to the purple-clad young man. This was due to the five-colored energy and transparent sword energy that surrounded the purple-clad young man's body. It pressured them intensely. That was why they were afraid to come closer. Innate medicinal pill. At this moment, the voice sounded again. The surprise could be heard in the voice. The purple-clad young man looked at the 10 medicinal pills in his hand and popped them into his mouth immediately, without saying a word. He swallowed them after chewing a few times. You're eating those pills like they are nothing, just like a cow chewing on peonies. The loud voice scolded. It was obvious it could not stand the way the purple-clad young man was consuming the medicinal pills. Kid, you're just a mortal stage martial cultivator from Mortal Continent. Where did you get the innate medicinal pills from? The loud voice asked soon after. Mortal stage martial cultivator? The purple-clad young man asked in confusion. What's that? A mortal stage martial cultivator is a martial cultivator like you who are still in the mortal realm. Mortal stage martial cultivators are categorized into acquired stage martial cultivators and innate stage martial cultivators, the loud voice said. I've never heard of that. The purple-clad young man shook his head. The cultivation stage should be different for people on Mortal Continent. How do you guys differentiate the stages? The loud voice asked. Cultivation stages? The purple-clad young man frowned. He seemed to be thinking hard. His eyes lit up all of a sudden, and he said, I remember now. There are 10 levels in the cultivation stages. There are the body tempering stage, core formation stage, origin core stage. Wait, before the purple-clad young man was done speaking, he was interrupted by the loud voice that spoke with a tinge of annoyance. I don't want to hear about all the 10 stages. Tell me, what stage does a martial cultivator has to be able to fly? Fly. The purple-clad young man thought about it for a while and mumbled. I remember we have to cultivate to the void-prying stage to be able to fly. After breaking through to the void-prying stage, we have to be struck by lightning or something. It's the thunder penalty from above. The 6-9 heavenly tribulation, the loud voice said in annoyance. It lowered its voice as it said. That means the breakthrough from acquired stage to innate stage here is the breakthrough to some void-prying stage on the mortal continent. If I'm not mistaken, your void-prying stage is the equivalent of the innate spirit refinery stage on Dao Martial Saintland. Martial cultivators at this stage are at the lowest level among innate martial cultivators. The loud voice said slowly. What's innate spirit refinery stage? The purple-clad young man asked curiously. It's the lowest stage of the 6 innate stages for a martial cultivator, the loud voice said. 6 innate stages? The purple-clad young man was curious. Kid, if I'm not mistaken, I suppose your mortal continent has 6 stages that begin from the void-prying stage, right? The loud voice asked. Yes. The purple-clad young man nodded. After the void-prying stage is the void initiation stage, void interpretation stage, void transformation stage, martial monarch stage, and martial emperor stage. That's right. People from the mortal continent call it the void-prying stage. On Tao Martial Saint Land, the void prying stage is equivalent to the lowest stage in the 6 innate stages, the innate spirit refinery stage. No matter if it's a martial cultivator or a Tao cultivator, once they've entered the innate stage, they'll have to go through 3 stages. The spirit refinery energy transformation, energy refinery God transformation, and God refinery void restoration to become a saint and cast off their mortality. In the Tao Martial Saint Land, the 6 innate stages are the innate spirit refinery stage, innate energy transformation stage, innate energy refinery stage, innate God transformation stage, innate God refinery stage, and innate void restoration stage. If I'm not mistaken, these 6 stages should be the equivalent of the 6 cultivation stages that you told me earlier. They're the same thing. They just have different names, the loud voice said. For instance, the fellow who severed your dantian and took your devil seal tablet. He's an innate void restoration stage martial cultivator. He should be called a martial emperor or something on your mortal continent. The loud voice continued to say, he severed my dantian. When the purple-clad young man heard that, he was initially confused. However, he seemed to have recalled something after a while. He looked fierce as the 5-colored energy and sword energy rumbled on his body. Fwa, fwa, fwa. As the heaven and earth phenomenon appeared above the purple-clad young man's head, the birds and wild ferocious beasts that gathered in the valley ran away. They vanished in just a blink of an eye. 5 ancient black dragon silhouettes appeared above the purple-clad young man's head. It was majestic and earth-shaking. On Cloud Continent where powerhouses rule, severing a person's dantian's more torturous than dying. Do you know who severed my dantian? I can't remember. The purple-clad young man asked coldly. Didn't I already told you? It's a fellow at the innate void restoration stage. Although he's weak, you're weaker than him. Your dantian being severed aside. Even if it's not, you're no match for him. The loud voice sounded in the purple-clad young man's mind again. No matter what, I'm holding a grudge. One day, I'll let him taste how it feels like to have his dantian severed. The purple-clad young man said through clenched his teeth. Although there were many things he could not remember, the grudge of having his dantian severed was imprinted deeply in his mind. Also, you haven't told me who you are? Why are you inside my body? The purple-clad young man asked soon after. You won't know who I am even if I told you. But I must thank you. If you didn't use the soul remnant energy in the devil seal tablet, and your dantian was not severed, causing the tablet to lose control, I wouldn't have been able to escape. There was a hint of fear in the loud voice as it spoke. It was afraid of the devil seal tablet. The purple-clad young man arrived here after leaving Lost Stone Forest. Although he regained his consciousness, he was now Duan Ling Tian who had lost most of his memory due to his broken soul. He asked the voice in his head, confused. Devil seal tablet? What's that? You used the soul remnant energy in the devil seal tablet a few times, and you've no idea what the devil seal tablet is. The loud voice paused for a moment before it continued to speak. I almost forgot that you lost a portion of your memory. Seems like you can't recall your memory about the devil seal tablet. Soon after, Duan Ling Tian learned about what the devil seal tablet was from the owner of the loud voice. He found out he left the devil seal tablet behind before he lost his memory. Why didn't you let me retrieve it if it's so powerful? Duan Ling Tian asked, a little angry. Because I hate it. The loud voice's response was short and simple. Duan Ling Tian was speechless. How do I address you? Duan Ling Tian asked after a moment of silence. The family name is Wang, and my name is a single word Ba. How is it? Isn't it a domineering name? The owner of the loud voice, Wang Ba, asked gleefully. Bastard one? Duan Ling Tian nodded after hearing that. You brat. It's Wang Ba, not bastard. You're pissing me off. If not for the fact that I'm only a soul now, I'll definitely kill you. Wang Ba said in anger. Well, it's bastard. Duan Ling Tian said innocently. He did not see the difference between the two. It's Ba. It means domineering. It sounded like Wang Ba was gnashing his teeth. All right then, there's no need to shout. Your name's still bastard no matter how you try to spin it. Duan Ling Tian said with a frown. He was a little upset. Bastard, do you know who I am, and what's my name? Although I'm remembering things bit by bit, I can't remember who I am. I don't know. Wang Ba said angrily. Didn't you mention that I used the devil seal tablet 3 times? You were living in the tablet. Shouldn't you know me? Duan Ling Tian asked. Wang Ba scoffed and said in annoyance. Humph. I only know when you were using the devil seal tablet. I've no idea what happened in your daily life. Do you think I know everything that's going outside when I was trapped in the devil seal tablet? Then what should I do now? I even forgot who I am. My dantian's fixed, Duan Ling Tian said. His eyes lit up when he realized his dantian was restored. A wave of origin energy was released and formed a core in his dantian. Core formation. I just recalled something. Something about my previous cultivation base. I was once a 4th-level martial monarch martial artist. Duan Ling Tian mumbled softly as he lifted his arm. A faint origin energy appeared as he shook his arm and turned into a 5-colored energy in a blink of an eye. Subsequently, it turned into a 5-colored 3-foot-long blade that released a ferocious aura. This seems to be the fused profundity and sword profundity. Not only was his dantian completely restored, but his memory was coming back to him faster after he consumed the bottle of royal-grade resurrection pills. Kid, where did you get the innate medicinal pills that you consumed earlier? Your soul's recovering so much faster now. It only took a while for the pills to work. If this goes on, in less than 3 to 5 years, at the most a year, you'll recover completely, Wang Ba said, surprised. Duan Ling Tian did not reply Wang Ba. Instead, he said with a frown, "Bastard, can you leave my body?" He felt uneasy that someone was living inside him. "Brat, do you think I want to stay in your body?" Wang Ba said, annoyed. He could sense the disdain in Duan Ling Tian's voice. "Do you think I'll choose to stay in your body if I have somewhere else to go? Let me tell you, without me, you would have been killed by the suffocating soul remnant energy in the Devil Seal tablet. You must know that I can take over your body and watch as your soul fades away back then," Wang Ba said. However, there was something that he left out. The reason he did not take over Duan Ling Tian's body was due to the fact that he looked down on Duan Ling Tian's body. "I see. Does that mean I should thank you?" Duan Ling Tian mumbled softly as he nodded. "Of course you should thank me," Wang Ba said. Thank you, bastard." Duan Ling Tian thanked him as though he meant it and nodded. "Brat, I'm telling you one more time. My name's Bastard, not Wang Ba. No, my name's Bastard, not Wang Ba. Hell, no my." Wang Ba, who was angry, kept getting his name wrong. Insignia 1. The Ra is Wang Ba, which means bastard. His name Wang Ba has the same sound as Wang Ba, so Duan Ling Tian's messing with his name.